I'd like to call to order the County Commission meeting for Monday, January 14th, 2013. Hope everyone had a good new year. First thing on the agenda is our invocation and pledge. Commissioner Ricky Jones will lead us in the invocation, and Commissioner Jeff Ford lead us in the pledge. Please stand. Shall we pray?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the blessings that you have given us, and we thank you for this great country of ours and this great state of Tennessee and the great county of Williamson County that we live in. We ask as we go about as commissioners tonight, we go about our business and we deliberate fairly and we deliberate honestly, and we do what's best for the residents of Williamson County. At this time, dear Lord, I ask that you be with the Bledsoe family and the Fairview area. Donna was a great educator and a part of our community, and we ask that you have a healing hand upon their family. We ask you as we go about our business tonight, be with us always. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is roll call. If you're here, push your yes button or your present button and confirm. All right. Record the vote.
24 present.
All right. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of our November 13th, 2012 County Commission meeting. Copies were mailed to you. I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Wilson, Commissioner Dwight Jones, the second. All in favor as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And they are so approved. Introduction and acceptance of Highway Commission minutes. Copies were mailed to you. I guess we need the November and December? Yes. Yeah, so I'll entertain a motion for the November. Move for approval. Commissioner Cook, second. Commissioner Hayes. All in favor of the November Highway Commission meeting, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Now I will entertain a motion for the December Highway Commission meeting minutes.
Move for approval. Second.
Commissioner Cook, Commissioner Green, the second. Citizen communication, we have none. So, okay, and the communications and the messages, we're going to postpone all that till next month due to the weather. Some of these people weren't able to make it. So moving on down the agenda, we'll hear from County Mayor Rogers Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I might, I would call upon Nina to come up and give us an up-to-date over the last 60 days on the county's activities. Nina?
Thank you, Mayor, Commission. Tonight in your package, you'll have 2 months of reports. We have our October and November budget reports. We're tracking on target for this time of year for those 2 months. You also have your Cool Springs Conference Center reports for the month of October. We received funds from Cool Springs Conference Center for $24,229.36, and for the month of November, $4,962.94. You also have in your packets your privilege tax reports for the months of October and November. We're still showing a positive trend of collections for those. You also have in your packet this month a requirement from the State of Tennessee Comptroller's Office that each time we have a bond issue, these are the reports that we are required to give to the commission. The first report you'll see is the official statement. That complete report, you can find that on our website at www.williamsoncounty-tn.gov. And you can just go to the budget department and then you'll see the bond statement there. You also have Form CT 0253 for the general obligation issue, and also the county obligation refunding bonds. We issued those refunding bonds in December. We had a significant savings on those. The general obligation refunding bond, we reported a savings of $4.157 million. And the county district school refunding bonds, we had a savings of $1.877 for a little over $6 million savings in our interest for those two issues. You also have a continuing disclosure agreement just for the reporting requirements established by the Municipal Securities Refunding Board. Those are the requirements issued by the Comptroller's Office to include in our packets. Do we have any questions?
Any questions for Nina? I see none.
Okay.
Thank you, Nina.
Thank you, Nina. Mr. Chairman, I've got two things. If you would, please, please note on your calendar for February the 1st from 2 o'clock to 4, we're having the original individual that started our archives. She will be retiring. Mrs. Lynch will be having a period of time which we will denote from 2 o'clock to 4 at the archives to have an appreciation for her many years of hard work, her effort that she has done here in the county. About a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, she notified me by letter that she would be retiring. So if you would put that on your calendar, 2/1/13 from 2 to 4 at the archives. And finally, Mr. Chairman, I will report just about 5 minutes ago, Dr. David Snowden from the Franklin Special School District texted me over that it was approved by the board, and that's the agreement you'll be dealing with here later this evening.
Very good. Thank you, Mayor. Any questions for the mayor? Commissioner Barnwell?
Spoke last month about the acquisition of biomimetic therapeutics by the company out of Memphis, and does the 2007 pilot program we gave them follow through to the successor company? And you were going to investigate that.
The question we presented to Kenny Young at the law firm here, if Jeff wants to try to tackle that, they are looking into it, but as far as we can tell at this point, if there is some kind of merger, acquisition, or sale that has not been completed, they would have to come back before this body if there's any unused portion of the tax abatement.
Okay, and then a follow-up to that. I understand they took their first, even though we did this in 2007, they took their first credit in 2000. We did 2007, they took their first credit in 2011, which was the last year they could start this. But my understanding is that building's still empty, and they promised 90 jobs or whatever over a period of 3 years. I'm just curious, are there any penalties, again, Jeff, to the fact they haven't fulfilled their obligations?
Yeah, we're continuing to look into that. We've pulled the documents and we're doing the research on that, and whether or not we need to request information from them, or if we think we've got enough to bring something back to the mayor. We intend to have that analysis done in the next 2 weeks.
Okay, good, because that building's still empty. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next, we'll hear from Dr. Mike Looney, Director of Schools.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you. School operations are going well. We've returned from the holidays. We've been watching the weather today. We have a meeting this evening after this commission meeting to meet with EMA to talk about weather conditions for tomorrow. We do have a resolution before you tonight that relates specifically to hiring a school safety expert to do some consulting work with the district and do an evaluation. Appreciate your consideration of that matter. Be glad to answer any questions you have.
Any questions for Dr. Looney? I see none. Thank you, Dr. Looney. Any other further committee reports? I see none. We're moving on. Commissioner Herbert?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Sheriff Long for continuing to provide the funeral escorts for the county, because that means a lot to the families that have lost a loved one, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. And on that same note, I'd like to thank Deputy Osborne, Deputy Hooper, Sheriff Jeff Long, Alan Laney, Chief Deputy Rhodes. I see Roddy Parker back there. Thank y'all from the Sheriff's Department for being here tonight. Next, we'll move on to elections and appointments. First one, we have Stormwater Appeals Board, 2-year terms expiring January 2015. The building contractor representative is John Minton. Nomination, John Minton. We got to do them individually? Can we do all three?
You can do the entire board together.
Okay, we'll hold up, Cheryl. Engineering representative, Rick Schuff. Nomination, Rick Schuff. And agricultural representative, John Kinney. Nomination, John Kinney. Proper. Commissioner Cook, the second. Any other nominations? I see none. All in favor of these nominations signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? They are elected for a 2-year term. Adjustments and Appeals Board, 4-year term expiring January 2017. The architect representative, Al Thomas. Nomination, Al Thomas. Engineer representative, Glenn Adams. Nomination, Glenn Adams. Building industry representative, Ron Crutcher. Nomination, Ron Crutcher. And, Commissioner Hayes, Commissioner Green, the second. Any other nominations? I see none. All in favor of these nominees signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And they are nominated. Yep. Next is the Agricultural Committee for 2-year terms expiring, and we have a typo on this, so at your desk should be the correct thing. So we've got, and these are expiring?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So ignore what's in your packet, but
The correct nominee forms were in the packet.
yeah, the correct nominees forms were in the packet. It's just on the agenda that was misprinted. Architecture Committee, 2-year term expiring January 2015. The commissioner position is Lewis Green. Nomination, Lewis Green. Farmer position, Dan Bond. Nomination, Dan Bond. And farm woman position is Cherry Lane Darkin, and nomination, Cherry Lane Darkin. So I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Little and Commissioner Hayes the second. Any other nominations? I see none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And they are all confirmed. Next on the elections and appointments, school board member, 6th district representative, filling unexpired term. Term expires August 2014. Resign, Terry Leave. Nomination, Cherry Hammond.
Move for approval. Second.
Commissioner Ford, the nomination, Commissioner Cook, the second. Are there any other nominations? I see none. All in favor of Cherry Hammond signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And she is confirmed, is she here?
Yes, yes. I'd like to introduce Ms. Hammond to the board. With your permission, give her a
Yeah,
chance to
yeah.
introduce herself and speak. I'd also like to say thank you to the other 12 people who contacted us and applied, and for their patience with Commissioner Cook as we worked through the process. There were several that were eminently qualified. We were just pleased to have Ms. Hammond to join the board.
Very good. Ms. Hammond, welcome. Come forward.
Mayor Anderson, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, it is a great privilege of mine to stand before you tonight, and I thank you for giving me a few minutes to speak with you. First of all, thank you to Commissioner Cook and Commissioner Ford for their nod of approval of me and giving me as their nomination, and of course to all of you for ratifying that nomination. I hope by now, for those that know me personally, as well as those that may just have learned about me on paper, you know that I am passionate about our schools. I have served for a number of years in our district at both the local school level as well as the county level. And I have done that serving our families and our students, faculty, staff, administration, everyone involved with WCS. It makes my heart beat to be able to continue to do that work and to be able to provide the best overall educational experience that we can give to the students who grace our doors. So it is with much joy, and it's a great honor to me to be able to continue to serve and to do so along the other school board members. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Welcome. This concludes elections and appointments. Next item we have is consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion on the consent.
Second.
Proper motion second. If anyone would like to pull something off, I'll entertain that, but I believe we're ready to go. Is consent loaded, Linda? If you're in favor of the consent agenda, push your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Jeff. Consent agenda passes. I've had several requests to move up, let's see, Resolution 11315. And if there's no objections, we'll hear that now, just due to the weather and a lot of the guests we have here. So if there's no objections, we'll move that 11315 up. I see none, so we will hear 11315 first under appropriations. Resolution 11315, resolution appropriating and amending the 2012-13 Sheriff's Office employee benefits and other charges budgets by $1,938,167.82 to provide funding for the placement of school resource officers district-wide. Revenues to come from unappropriated county general funds. Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Little, the second. Commissioner Smith, you want to discuss this?
Committee.
Oh, committees, you're right. Let's see where. All right. Education Committee.
5-4 to opposed as amended.
Law Enforcement Committee.
4-0 as amended, in favor of.
Budget Committee.
5-4, 0 against as amended.
All right. Human Resources Committee.
5-4, 0 against as amended.
Commissioner Smith, you want to speak to this?
I will briefly, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I believe everybody has had a chance to hear the discussion about this item and also the amendment. I support both of these. I think it's something that I'm proud that we as a county can stand up and say we take care of our own. And it's not a perfect solution, but I believe it's a step in the right direction. And in terms of the FSSD schools, I believe that that all of these personnel should be under one agency. I think that makes the most sense. And in that regard, I support the amendment that will be proposed. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to commend the Williamson County School leadership, the County Sheriff's Department, and the county mayor, as well as a host of others, many of whom are in this room, on the fast response to the Newtown shootings. It was amazing. I haven't seen this body work that fast on anything. However, sometimes fast government doesn't always make great government. I think we're moving a little too fast on this. For example, we're appropriating money for a portion of a year, and we're focused a lot on that in this resolution. This is a need that is likely to be here every year indefinitely, and we really ought to be focused on the tax increase it would take to do that. I have not heard any discussion on the 4 meetings other than a reference that we've had on this to taxes and the necessary money needed in the future. There are a lot of specific questions that have been asked, but there are no answers to yet. I'm not complaining about the lack of answers. It's a big project. It's a big idea. Like, what about preschools? What about private schools? What about after-school programs? What about sporting events? What about extended hours at our existing elementary schools? We are not funding for any of that. Should we be? Or should we not be doing that? The tragedy sparked a national debate. There are people all over this country at the federal, state, and local level looking into this very same issue. I think there's a chance somebody might come up with a better plan. There's also a chance we may come up with a better plan. Later on the agenda tonight is an item asking for a consultant, to fund a consultant to look at our schools today and come up with a security plan or recommendations that we may or may not want to implement in the future. I suspect some of those recommendations will be very inexpensive and some will be very expensive. Some may be great. We won't have any money left to address any of those if we address this issue this fast. I would prefer to work on this entire issue all at one time. I'm not necessarily saying this is a bad idea at all. It's just we're not looking at the entirety of the event. When we were discussing the improvements needed at Brentwood Middle School and Brentwood High School, I got over 350 calls and emails from constituents, not all of my constituents, about the needs. On this one, I've received not a single supporting phone call, not a single supporting email. Could be the public doesn't know enough about this yet. Could be there's a lot of undecided people. That's why I'm undecided about this. There are a lot of other issues that we need to be looking at too. Competing priorities. We're likely to be faced with a very large potential appropriation for public safety this year, this calendar year. We have not looked at this resolution and the expenses in relation to the competing priorities, not just from public safety, but from schools and all of our other departments. If we approve these SRO positions, we have not addressed the other needs in the Sheriff's Department. The Sheriff's Department needs other things, such as other deputies and other vehicles and other equipment and training. And that's just one department. The big one, of course, is schools, and we're going to be faced with more appropriations and more borrowing for that. I've been here 10 years, and I've not seen us rush into an appropriation of this size, this fast, without looking at the entirety of the situation. We tried to balance priorities, and I think overall we've done an excellent job of that. But for this and many other reasons that I haven't stated, I move to table this resolution and bring it up later at a future date.
Oh, okay. But it's no discussion. All right. So, it's, yeah, the motion to table is not debatable. Linda, can you, will you load that? You ready to vote? If you're in favor of tabling Resolution 11315, push your yes button. Opposed, your no button, and confirm. Okay, all right, sorry about that. All right. Okay. If Commissioner Little would like to change his vote, he can do so at this. Anyone else like to change their vote? Yes for table, no for not table. Record the vote, Jeff.
8 yes, 16 no.
Motion fails. All right. Commissioner Ryan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the comments by Commissioner Davis. He actually has already expressed some of the concerns that I have. Frankly, I'm very happy and appreciative to the efforts that have been made both by the Sheriff's Department, the Mayor, and Dr. Looney and his office. I do think we need a program. Whether it's SROs or some other program, I'm not sure of just yet due to the fact what Commissioner Davis was expressing his concerns on as far as how quickly we are moving on a fairly long-term program here that once we initiate is going to be very difficult to go back on. My experience has been that the worst time to make a big decision is when emotions are running exceedingly high, and right now I think we would all agree that emotions are running very high on this. What I would like to do is be able to see the results of the study that we have, the security analysis that I wholeheartedly support. Would like to see the results of that as far as what we need to do. It seems like we're putting the cart before the horse here. I'm very interested to see what the state of Tennessee is going to do in terms of supporting us, whether it's financially or through other means. At this time, we don't know. I've spoken to the sheriff. I've spoken to other members of the Sheriff's Department. My understanding is, as it stands right now, we will be able to get 6 to 8 deputies in place in some of the schools, not all of them, for about 8 to 10 weeks. So we're moving very quickly and about to begin a very large program where we're going to see about a 8 to 10 week benefit, whereas if we can slow down just a little bit and put the right program in place, we can have this thing ready to go the first week of school in the fall. And as I said, it's not that I don't want this program. I very much do. I think it's very much needed. I just want to make sure that we have the right program in place. And so I appreciate the time, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
With our system, we're having, before we voted, it was Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Ryan, Commissioner Barnwell, Commissioner Cook. When Linda has to clear the system, it clears it up there, but doesn't clear it on my computer screen. And that's the glitch we're having on this. So Bob, if you talk to those people, that's what we're having. So we'll go, after Commissioner Ryan was Commissioner Barnwell. So, yeah, it's here, but up there is not.
That's not correct.
It's not correct. So, Commissioner Barnwell?
Yes, I just have a point of order. It appears we haven't got either of the amendments on the floor yet, and I'd like to have those placed on the floor since we're discussing a massive resolution here. So I would move that the amendments necessary.
Okay.
Be moved.
Commissioner Hancock, you want to make?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Barnwell, I so move as amended, and the amendment that was passed out tonight supersedes and does what the committee's asked to be done, to put the special ninth and the original, as an amendment to the original resolution, and does what the 5 committees wanted done.
Okay, I second that.
Okay. Proper motion and second. Anybody want to speak to the amendment? If you'll raise your hand.
No, not to the amendment, to the resolution as
Oh,
amended.
okay. I've got, okay. What do we need to vote on the amendment? Okay, all right. Commissioner Cook?
My questions were My questions were about the entire resolution, not
Okay.
just the amendment.
Well, the county attorney says let's vote on the amendment, and then we'll take that as a whole. So are we ready to vote on the amendment? Do you have it loaded, Linda? Ready to vote? If you're in favor of amending Resolution 11315 and the amendments on your desk, which includes 32 total SROs in the new, including all the Franklin Special School District FSSD schools, and it amends the total to $2,584,223.76. So, you ready to vote? If you're in favor of the amendment,
Just waiting on you,
Oh.
Jack.
good help's hard to find. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Jeff.
23 yes, 1 no.
Resolution, the amendment passes. Now we're back to the main resolution as amended. So Commissioner Cook, you spoke. Commissioner Brockman? Okay, I'm sorry. Back up. Okay. Commissioner Cook?
I would like Sheriff Long to come up. I have a question for him. And Commissioner Ryan sort of answered part of my question, but I wanted to know how how it was going with all the different people, and you said you had 6 to 8 people who were interested from the current Sheriff's Department?
No, ma'am, we have over 100 applications. We have 60 from inside, about 40 from outside. We have interviews starting the 4th day of February, permitting the funding is here, depending on what you do tonight. We've scheduled interviews. We've got 40, I believe it is, set the first week, trying to do 8 a day to get those done. Also, we have started trying to locate cars, which are going to be difficult. We look like there are none on hand at the different contracts that we have on file. We're going to have to order some of those. We're starting looking at the equipment. So if the approval comes through tonight, our anticipation is we're looking first in-house at our post-certified officers. If we have a post-certified officer who has already been through the academy, we have to put them through the school resource officers training class, which is a 2-week class. We've already made some plans to maybe get that class here locally to prevent us from having to send somewhere else and the cost of travel for training for that. So we're looking at training close by to get that done. If we got that done, we could go ahead and put those officers into the school and then finish up the training we need during the summer months. So it's according to how quick we can get those number of post-certified officers through that school and get them into the schools for the remainder of this year anyway. That's what we're looking at.
For the information.
Yes. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Judy, wait a minute. If you'll hang on, Sheriff, we'll go through this process. So, you got a follow-up, Commissioner Cook?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Brockman?
You can go ahead with Commissioner Hayes, and I'll follow up.
Okay. Commissioner Hayes?
Professional way, you gave me a sense of comfort the other day in the Budget Committee meeting when you shared with us how there has to be some psychological training and all. I think that would be good for the public to know, because in this age, we're trying very hard to protect our youth, and it's very good to know that we have people who are trained for this type of thing. And I agree with my counterpart here that we need to do more than just SROs in our schools. We need to make sure that we seek better mental evaluations, and we identify these people who are out there to do harm and try to get those off the streets and give them some help. But in the meantime, that can't be done overnight. In the meantime, you're trying to step forth and give us some area of peace and comfort here for the short term. But I understand that there is some evaluation that goes on, and I think the public would like to know that.
Absolutely. Anytime that an officer is certified by the Police Officer Standards Training Commission,
They have to be, mental evaluation, have to pass a psychological evaluation, even to be hired, and that's for anybody on our staff. Anybody that is a sworn deputy with your sheriff's office has to pass a psychological evaluation in order to be qualified to be hired. We're even going the extra step on these. If it's somebody we don't know or we haven't had employed before, we're also looking at the probability of giving polygraph examinations to the new hires to make sure that we're hiring that right person that we feel comfortable. As I've said, and many of you heard me say, this is probably one of the most important hires that I've made since I've been sheriff, if I'm allowed to do that. So we're going to take that step that's necessary to make sure that whoever we put in the schools, we're comfortable with and comfortable being in charge of the children of this county. Also, I might just say, and I'm afraid to call it off the top of my head, I have it in my briefcase. I had our training division to research the other day to see how much training an officer actually would have by the time they're post-certified and do the experience that they have to do, the training they have to do, also the SRO training. And I forgot the number of hours, but it's several thousand hours that they're trained before they're allowed to do it.
Thank you, Sheriff. Commissioner Brockman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say that this was the tragedy in Connecticut. There's no doubt it was a trigger for this resolution tonight. But the leadership had already been thinking about this. Mayor Anderson, Superintendent Looney, our sheriff had already begun this process in terms of getting SRO officers into elementary schools. So the fact that we've acted quickly has not been based on, a history of no research and no support. So I think this is why I just want to say that this is important for us tonight, because it's, at the end of the day, I want to be able to say that we have done what we can in this county, and I think this is the proposal that garners that support. It's a horrendous concept, the fact that this has happened in another state, but in this county, I trust our local leadership is what I want to say. And you can talk about the federal government, and you can talk about the state of Tennessee, but at the end of the day, the local leadership has come out for this, and that's what I depend on. And that's what I want to say tonight, that I hope that everyone will also support this. The consultant who will come in and look at our safety issues, absolutely. That's a given. I support that as well. But this is something we can do. It's not everything, but it is something that I feel like at the end of the day, the community of Williamson County will support, and so it's a trust level, and that's who I look to, and that's who I'm tonight. That's important.
Thank you, Commissioner Brockman. Commissioner Danner?
Yes, thank you.
Three people to go.
You're next, John, according to the numbers here.
I
Okay.
just want to be sure I'm
Yeah.
on the list somewhere.
Yeah, no, you're next.
Is it after me or?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. I just want to try one more time. I appreciate Commissioner Davis's remarks so much, and I agree fully. But you made a motion to table it and indefinitely, and I'd like to try to make a motion to defer it for 2 months. I think that asking to do the study and voting on that after we've put SROs in the schools, if that's not getting the cart before the horse, I don't know what is. I think that waiting for the results of the study makes the most common sense. And so I'd like to make a motion to defer this resolution for 2 months to give us enough time to get the study results back.
Proper motion. Is there a second? Commissioner Ryan? All right, proper motion is second. Any discussion on the motion?
Yeah.
Commissioner Jones?
Push the button. I mean, if we're going to defer it, I mean, the sheriff has already stated that if we pass it tonight, he can't interview before February 1st, roughly. why would you not defer it to the summer then? I mean, if we're gonna do that, let's just kick it on out to the summer. I mean, it makes no sense to do 2 months, to me, when, when we can't get them hired before 2 months anyways.
Any other discussion? John, did you want to speak on the motion? Oh, okay. Commissioner Hayes, did you want to speak?
I wanted to hear what Franklin Special School District had texted the mayor.
Mayor?
Approved by the board.
With a smiley face?
Well, no, he didn't put that on there. He did say thanks. But we had asked either to text me or call me, and because we were in meeting, we decided to go with the text. But I suspect if I've got the floor, Mr. Chairman, I could
Yes, sir.
speak to this. Many of you understand that what you're doing tonight, if you pass the amendment, then what I'm about to say will not have bearing. But we have contracts or interlocal agreements that we will have to put in place for all of this funding. First, as you probably realize, we have an interlocal agreement currently with the high schools to do high schools and middle schools. We will also have to do an interlocal agreement between this body and the school board for them to pass an interlocal agreement to do the elementary schools. Likewise, we will have to do an interlocal agreement between the Franklin Special School District and this body for any of this to take place. As we have indicated in our committee structures, I understand your comments, Commissioner, and your comments, Commissioner, but we're also trying, as the sheriff has so elegantly said on many occasions, there's not an abundance of men and women out here to be SROs. There has been a process that we have gone through over a period of 2 to 2.5 weeks, but as Commissioner Brockman says, we've looked at this internally in past years. We are taking this money out of fund balance. It is $2.5 million to carry it through the remainder of this calendar year. I suspect we will not get all of those positions hired and put in all of those schools, but I do not know that. That's based upon the man and the woman power and how we can get that training through. Whatever you approve, if you approve this, the unused portion of that money goes back into the budget. That money's not lingering out there. We will also be approaching, as Commissioner Davis has indicated, our federal representatives. We've already sent a letter to Washington to our representatives asking them to take this into consideration and look for funding where they could possibly help us. Likewise, we have done that same thing to our delegates in Nashville. We will be spending some time and energy working with our city partner, Franklin. I do think there is some obligation on their part because you are funding the Franklin Special School District out of the county general funds, and that has given a little bit of heartburn to all of us because we've never done this before. We will be approaching Franklin to talk to them, to discuss to them the manpower. Currently, all of our police departments and chiefs, through the efforts of the sheriff and through Dr. Looney, have gotten together. There is an increase of presence of awareness at all of our schools. There are some of them getting out of the schools, walking the halls, making people feel comfortable and making children feel comfortable. How all this funding comes about would depend on a lot of factors. But as I've said to the budget processes, that after the end of the day, we will try everything we possibly can to reimburse our fund balances for this, and that does not exclude the current Williamson County School Board to help us out. I've had that dialogue. I know it's painful. I know it may seem like that we're rushing into it, but from the very first conversation we had with the school superintendent and from the sheriff, almost on that weekend, is we've got to find a solution. And that's what we've done. Whether you all accept to do that, whether you accept to fund it on a temporary basis, this is not the way we normally do business. We are a AAA bonded rated county. You all have helped that along the process, along the way. We've had constituents not agree with this. We've had constituents say, well, let's put weapons on teachers. We've had 2 leading authorities in our own local jurisdiction to say that's not the best. These are all opinions. Your job tonight is to vote it up, vote it down. If you vote it down, we'll go back to the drawing board. But this is one solution, and it's going to take some time, and it is different. It is different.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner Hancock?
I want to speak on the entire resolution as amended after this amendment fails, if it fails.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm sorry, I got out of hand. Forgot where I was. Yeah, Commissioner Danner, when you refer 2 months, are you referring it to our March meeting?
Sure.
Is that correct? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but if you defer
let me
it beyond the
restate.
2 months, then it'd be June before we would hear it, because we don't meet in April, May, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to, because we're waiting for federal information, waiting for state legislature information, we're waiting on a study we haven't voted on, and we're waiting for several interlocal agreements, I'm making a motion to defer for 2 months till our March meeting.
Okay, all right, just, thank you. Commissioner Herbert?
I got a question for the sheriff, please. Actually, I got 2 questions. If it's deferred for 2 months, how does that affect the hiring process? Or if it's not approved until they begin in August with the new school year, when would they have to be hired by? Because I know it's a complicated process.
Well, the more you delay, the more it delays everything. And we lose the pool that we've got. You know, we've got people who have applied from all over Middle Tennessee. If these other counties are the first to fund, then they're going to get the better qualified candidates because people are looking for positions different places. But, you know, the cars, the equipment, the massive amount of things that you have to provide for the officers, we can't bid any of that until you approve. So everything is going to be delayed. Whatever time you delay, it's going to be that much more. Right now, we're looking, you know, trying to get things lined up to buy cars and equipment and such. And if we can't tell these dealers we're ready to go, you know, then whoever else does gets those vehicles, and we have to wait and get them later on. So whatever time you put it off, if you choose to do that, it automatically delays the whole process that much further.
What, the second part, if you started them in August, when would you have to start the process?
To get somebody in the school in August?
Yeah.
Right now. And we're planning on putting them in before August if we can get them quick enough and get them in.
I guess my worry is if we approve them and they don't start until like the end of April or May, and then they're sitting there all summer and we're paying them.
Well, they're not going to be sitting there. If we get them trained and get them ready, they're going into schools.
But school's not going to be going on in June and July.
True. I'm hoping to have them in before the end of the school session, though, part of them. And what our anticipation is right now, what we've talked about, is it seems most logical to us is if we do start phasing them in, is phase them in the furthest area from response time and cover those schools first and start working our way back in to try to get some coverage to the ones that take so long to get to, and then try to work our way back into the closer schools. And also looking at the population numbers of the schools, too. Mr. Chairman, can I say one more thing?
Yes, sir.
Just looking also, somebody asked me the question a few minutes ago at the hours. The hours that a school resource officer would have through the training they've already had and finishing up and getting them through, just so you know how qualified these people are, it would be 1,112 hours of training that they would have had when they go on the street. Thank you.
Commissioner Jones, to the deferral.
Commissioner Herbert asked my question about the 2 months, how it would affect training.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Ford?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
On the deferral.
On the deferral.
Yeah, okay.
Since we're speaking on the deferral, we're not the only county that's looking at this. As you've heard, there's a pool of applicants out there. I did read in the paper on Sunday that Rutherford County was also looking at this process. They were looking at exactly the same thing we're looking at, doing an interim appropriation and going ahead and getting the people funded and getting them in the schools now. Through their budget process, they had determined that it was best to run those officers through the regular budget process and start those in the new budgets that starts in July, and look at having those people in August. So that at least takes one county out of the pool of coming on board right at this very moment. So I just wanted to make sure the commission had also seen that same article, and everybody had that information.
Okay. Any other discussion on the deferral? I see none. You ready to vote? If you're in favor of the deferral, push your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm.
She had it locked down. You're good. Okay.
Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Jeff.
7 yes, 17 no.
All right, the motion to defer has failed, so we're back to the original resolution as amended. Commissioner Hancock.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, I'm in support of this resolution as amended. It's certainly not a fix-all. We discussed this in the Law Enforcement Committee for hours. It's a small piece in the direction that we need to go. We need to push forward in our communities, in our churches. We've just about politically corrected ourselves out of a culture. We look at things like this almost on a weekly basis, and we've got to ask ourselves why. On the local government, at the state government, and at the federal government. I wholeheartedly support this. Let's do our part, and let's be sure that everybody else does their part. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hancock. Any further discussion on the resolution as amended? Commissioner Hayes?
I just would like to say that I think it's appropriate that this is one more way that Williamson County is a leader. We've been a leader in many things, and we'll hear later about being a leader in economic development. We're leaders because we're not afraid to step out there and do what might not be the most expedient thing to some people. But for one, I cannot vote to put a price tag on a child's safety, and I have to support this. It may not be the only answer, but it is an answer that we can work toward and go home and sleep better by we are trying to do something right. And if we had anything happen and we did not do it, would we not have a guilty feeling? And I certainly hope nothing like that ever happens, but we certainly need to do what we can to protect our children and our students and our constituency, and hopefully there'll be more answers out there to solve the problem in a bigger way.
Commissioner Williams?
Call for question.
Question's been called. Commissioner Barnwell, the second. All in favor, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chalfant. Y'all in the same direction. All in favor of calling the question, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Question's been called. You ready to vote? If you're in favor of Resolution 11315 as amended, push your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Jeff.
23 yes, 1 no.
Resolution passes. Moving on, Resolution 113-2, resolution amending the 2012-2013 Highway Department budget and appropriate up to $264,380.84 for paving expenses of state aid roads. Commissioner Hancock? Commissioner Wilson, the second. Highway Commission, 5-4-0 against. Budget Committee?
Budget Committee 5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Hancock.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is to reimburse our Highway Department for state aid roads that they have already done work on, and the state's reimbursing them for that work.
All right. Any discussion? Commissioner Wilson? Oh, okay. All right. I see none. You ready to vote? You in favor of Resolution 113-2, push your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote. Mr. Wiggby?
24 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 113-3, resolution amending the 2012-2013 Sheriff's Office budget for state grant funds remaining at the end of fiscal year 2012 in the amount of $4,392.48. Commissioner Hancock?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Little, the second. Law Enforcement Committee?
7 in favor, 0 against.
Budget Committee?
Budget Committee 5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Hancock.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is just getting money that was left over to put in the checkpoint so it can be used for sobriety tests at the checkpoint. It's $4,392.48.
All right.
State grant.
Any discussion? I see none. If you're in favor of Resolution 113-3, push your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote. Jeff?
24 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 113-4, resolution accepting a donation of $250 from the Cork and the Fork for equipment, uniforms, and training. Commissioner Hancock?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Jones, the second. Law Enforcement Committee?
7 in favor, 0 against.
Budget Committee?
Budget Committee 5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Hancock.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is just a donation to be used for the Reserve Division by a group in Lepus Fork that's named the Cork and the Fork. They have a fundraiser every year, and this is some of those funds.
Okay. Any discussion? I see none. If you're in favor of Resolution 113-4, push your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Jeff.
24 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 113-5, resolution amending the 2012-2013 Sheriff's Office budget for state grant funds remaining at the end of fiscal year 2012 in the amount of $6,552.29. Commissioner Hancock?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Cook, the second. Law Enforcement Committee?
7 in favor, 0 against.
Budget Committee?
Budget Committee is 5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Hancock.
Mr. Chairman, this is like the one we did at the beginning with the sobriety. It's money that's left in the sobriety checkpoint grant, $6,552.29, and it'll be used in that way. Salaries and overtime.
All right. Any discussion? Commissioner Langston? No, okay. Any discussion? I see none. You ready to vote? If you're in favor of Resolution 113-5, push your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Jeff.
24 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 113-6, resolution appropriating and amending the 2012-13 library budget by $14,805.50. Revenues to come from miscellaneous donations. Commissioner Barnwell.
Move for approval.
Library Board.
4-0, 4-4-0 against.
Budget Committee.
Budget Committee is 5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Barnwell.
Yeah, there's a minor typo in there. We got 50 cents up in the top section. It's even dollars at the bottom. I don't know what we need. I thought we already changed that. We did? Okay.
It was after the packet.
It was after the.
Okay,
So now
okay.
the clerk's office has it correct.
Okay, good.
Okay.
This is money we received from donations that we were not anticipating when we prepared the budget, and this is how we account for it when we receive it.
All right. Any discussion? I see none. If you're in favor of Resolution 113-6, push your yes button. Opposed, your no button, and confirm. Commissioner Hawkins? Yep. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Jeff.
24 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 113-7, resolution in the amount of $40,000 to contract with a consultant with the expertise in school safety to do a threat analysis. Commissioner Langston?
Move approval.
Second. Commissioner Smith was the second. School Board, 12 yes, 0 no. Education Committee?
6-4, 0 against.
Budget Committee?
Budget Committee is 5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Langston?
Yes, this is the resolution we've talked about. The school board would like to hire a group to come in and analyze the safety within our school system, and I'd ask for your approval, please.
All right. Any discussion? Commissioner Danner?
Just a quick question. How long does the study take?
Dr. Looney?
Thank you for your question. Our anticipation is that they'll be on the ground in Williamson County Schools for approximately 10 days. Dr. Snowden is considering hiring them as well so we can kind of build some momentum within the district, within the county. Not sure how long that evaluation will take. It will be a number of weeks before we receive an executive summary report outlining some of the shortcomings and strengths that they identified through the study.
So several weeks.
Yes, ma'am. I suspect it will be at least the end of February before we get any kind of indication as to what the outcome might be.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me just say I think this is a prudent step also, and let me commend Dr. Looney. In his first year when I was chair of the Education Committee, Dr. Looney formed a task force with various agencies from here in the county, police department, sheriff's department, represented on this task force to begin the discussion of school safety, a safety plan, those things that needed to be put in place in schools. I see this as just a very tangible continuation of efforts that have already been started, and I commend you for that.
Thank you. Commissioner Williams?
I will pass to Commissioner Ryan and then ask to speak after him.
Okay. Commissioner Ryan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Linney, I have one other question for you regarding the study. Are there aspects of the study that can be shared with the private schools of the county? Since we're already paying for it, can we make this information available to them?
Because
is it school specific, or is there macro level security topics that are being covered?
There may very well be some aspects that we're able to share. I will say that a good portion of their work is boots on the ground, analyzing specific campuses and the needs at those campuses. However, as you may know, we have partnered with the Department of Education and Franklin Special School District to host a statewide safety summit, and the individuals that we're asking to come to the table and do the work with us will be here during that time. And so perhaps we could have some advantages from that where private schools participate to some extent.
That'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Commissioner Williams?
Question.
Question has been called. Who was the second? Commissioner Smith? All in favor of calling the question, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So back to the resolution. If you ready to vote? Resolution 113-7, if you're in favor, push your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Commissioner Hester. There we go. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Jeff.
24 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 113-9, resolution establishing the 2012-2013 State Criminal Alien Assistance Program for the Sheriff's Office totaling $3,100, revenues to come from grant funds. Commissioner Hancock?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Dwight Jones, the second. Law Enforcement Committee?
4 in favor, 0 against.
Budget Committee?
Budget Committee is 5-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Hancock.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is another grant from the state to our county that the expenditures will be used for in-service and staff development. And there's certain criteria they have to have met in order to qualify for this grant. That's in the first paragraph there, first whereas.
Any discussion? I see none. If you're ready to vote, Resolution 113-9, if you're in favor, push your yes button. Opposed, your no button. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Jeff.
24 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 113-12, resolution appropriating and amending the 2012-13 animal control budget by $25,195.85, revenues to come from unappropriated county general fund balance. Commissioner Hayes and Commissioner Cook, the second. Public Health Committee,
6 in favor, 0 against.
Budget Committee,
Budget Committee is 5-4-0 against.
explanation, Commissioner Beathard.
This is funds needed to replenish the operating budget of the Williamson County Animal Control after having spent said funds on a legal case that involved the collection of numerous animals.
Commissioner Hayes.
If I might, Mr. Chairman, ask Doug Brightwell is here, ask him to come to the podium. You probably saw in Nashville media how he was instrumental in helping rescue a horse. This is another thing that we're getting some great attention, and he gave us all a report. And with your permission, Commissioner, I would like very much for him to give us a brief report on what's going on for our information.
Thank you, Commissioner. How are y'all? We finished up, I sent a release out with the numbers for 2012, just summarizing that from previous years, you can see that our intake numbers are down significantly, and we're attributing a lot of that to education and the spay neuter program, which is in its 3rd year. And we've got an significant increase in our adoption rates this year, both in cats and dogs, and decreases in our euthanasia rates for both cats and dogs this year, which are, all the numbers are trending in the right direction. And I think that's a positive thing for our department and for the whole county.
Very good. Any further discussion? I see none. You ready to vote? If you're in favor of Resolution 113-12, push your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote? Commissioner Hayes? Do so at this time. Record the vote, Jeff.
24 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 123-19, resolution appropriating and amending the 2012-13 Clerk and Master Chancery Court budget by $1,525, revenues to come from reserve account. Commissioner Williams?
For some reason, I'm missing that Move for approval.
Commissioner Little, the second. Budget Committee,
Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against.
all right. Can you, explanation?
This is going to be monies used for the clerk and master's office. They requested, and it's going to be in their budget and it's being, they said that there's a need to purchase a license for an additional scanning station and a scanner to be utilized for the Chancery Court clerk and master's office.
Okay.
And I'd like to say this, because I deal with the clerk and master's office and the clerks all the time. They're one of the most helpful clerks, not just the clerk and master's office, but the general sessions clerks and the criminal court clerks and the civil clerks, and they do need to be recognized.
Very good. Any discussion? I see none. If you're in favor of Resolution 11319, push your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote. Jeff?
24 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 11311, resolution to request the General Assembly to amend Title 5, Chapter 14, Section 108, to provide a purchasing agent operating under the county purchasing law of 1957 to sell surplus property under $1,000 without having to seek approval from the county legislative body. This will take 2/3 vote for passage.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Jones,
Second.
Commissioner Little, the second. Purchasing and Insurance Committee,
4-4-0 against.
all right. Property Committee,
Property, 4 in favor, 0 against.
oh, thank you. Budget Committee,
Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against.
explanation, Commissioner Jones?
This is just instead of having something set over here in the warehouse on Beasley Drive for a year, they can go on and sell it where if it brings $3, there's no sense in sitting over there all year long storing it.
Any discussion? I see none. If you're ready to vote, if you're in favor of Resolution 11311, push your yes button, and oppose. I'm sorry. If you're opposed, push your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Jeff.
24 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 11313, resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into a service agreement with the Williamson County Chamber of Commerce for the transfer of the Williamson County Office of Economic Development. Commissioner Hayes,
Second.
Commissioner Smith, the second. Economic Development Council, 14-4-0 against. Budget Committee,
Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against.
explanation, Commissioner Hayes.
First, if I might, I'd like to read that I'm a member of the Board of Directors of the Williamson County Chamber of Commerce, and as such, I may have an indirect conflict of interest in the resolution about to be voted. However, I declare that my argument with my vote answered only to my conscience and to my obligation to my constituents and the citizens of this body represents.
Thank you, duly noted. Commissioner Smith.
I also am a member of the Board of Directors for the Williamson County Chamber of Commerce, and as such, I may have an indirect conflict of interest in the resolution about to be voted. However, I declare that my argument and my vote answer only to my conscience and to my obligation to my constituents and the citizens this body represents. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I'd like to yield to Commissioner Smith first, please.
Okay. Steve?
When the Chamber of Commerce went on a search for a new president and CEO, they had quite a number of very qualified candidates, both here locally and from outside our community. And through a very honest process, they arrived at the conclusion that our Director of Economic Development for the county, Matt Largent, was the logical and best choice as the new president CEO. Matt has a lot of experience that leads him to this place. He has done a terrific job for us in economic development under the county. As a result of his being hired to take effect February 1 for the Chamber of Commerce, I think Matt and the mayor had conversations at some point that economic development needed to be out from under the influence of county government. It could be more flexible. It could leverage Matt's talents under the Chamber of Commerce and provide even greater benefit to our county than what we've already seen. It's something that the Chamber Board wholeheartedly supports, and I would ask your support.
Thank you. Commissioner Hayes?
Ask Brad Dunn and Matt Largent to come to the podium. Jerry Sharp is here, is at interim too. But the three chambers of Brentwood, Cool Springs, and Williamson County Franklin Chamber have unified and merged. This gives a better opportunity to promote our economic plans throughout the entire county. And Brad has led the charge, so to speak, and has worked as chairman to see this process through. And as Steve said, Matt is our, to be selected and has been selected as our new chairman, our new director. So with that, with your permission, Mr. Chairman, may they have a few words?
Sure. Gentlemen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. Certainly appreciate the opportunity to address this issue tonight. And I think what Commissioner Smith said is exactly right. I mean, now is the opportune time to make this transition. I think there is a lot of things that the Chamber can do along with the private sector that the county can't do, but wasn't able to do. So, you know, I really think that by engaging the private sector, leaning on their expertise, getting them involved in the process, and quite frankly, leveraging the public dollars for private sector dollars is the way to go. I think that's really the next step for the Chamber to go. I think that's the next step for economic development. I think it's also important to note that in that service agreement, there are certain benchmarks we must maintain to make sure the taxpayer dollars are being used wisely. And I also think, too, and this is important to know, that the county will always, and the cities will always have final say on any sort of incentive packages before any companies we present. So that's an important thing to do. But I do think this is the right time for this transition to happen, and look forward to taking any questions from you all.
Any questions? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brad.
You mind?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Commissioner. And I would just add to Matt's comments that we have thoroughly enjoyed the process, though it has been exciting and exhausting at times over the last year of unifying the three chambers. In doing so, we do feel like that it puts our business community at a place where it can leverage the many assets that we have. I would say that we've enjoyed a great relationship with our cities, the municipalities, and the county, but I may feel the need to apologize for stealing one of your best employees away. But however, I think we do so going forward with a strong partnership to take what's been laid as a strong foundation from Matt's leadership within the county to an even stronger position, hopefully, in the public-private partnership we're discussing tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Commissioner Wilson?
I guess I have a kind of a question, but this may go to Mayor Anderson, I'm not sure. But in the transition, I guess my question also would be, when you dissolve the office, when you dissolve, yes, the Economic Development, Williamson County Economic Development Office, does that mean, and I'm assuming that that would be the employees that are presently hired would go with that, and then the building space that they now have would go back to at the old courthouse. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, if I may answer that. Please. The agreement that you all are about to vote on will terminate. Matt has already sent in his notice of resignation, and we have accepted that to be on or about February the 1st.
Okay.
That will leave us two remaining employees, of which our HR department has already made contact with both of those individuals, putting them on notice that their jobs will no longer be offered here in Williamson County government as where they're getting their checks from. they are expected to be absorbed by the new chamber that is there. So all of the employees will roll over to that area and go with Matt Largent, but both of those employees have been notified of that. The second part of your question in regard to the space, it was hoped early on that the new economic development department, which also has taken our 3-star program and our Economic Development Council laws that are required by the state of Tennessee. We're to have 4 of those meetings a year on a quarterly basis. We have to do that because of some, is it Public Chapter 1101? Is that Public Chapter 1101? We have to demonstrate that to the state of Tennessee when we do business deals. And so that will be going to their department, that they'll have to annually do it. The second part, the next resolution coming up after this will be the equipment lease that you will be seeing for them. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be in their prescribed space that they wanted to be, and so you will be giving me the authority to do the equipment lease, to work out some of the details until they actually get the finishing touches on their new location.
Any other discussion? I see none. You ready to vote? If you're in favor of Resolution 11313, push your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Jeff.
24 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 11314, resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into a lease agreement with the newly contemplated Economic Development Agency for use of county-owned personal property in the provision of economic development services. Commissioner
Move for
Jones?
approval.
Commissioner Little, the second. Property Committee,
4-0 against.
Budget Committee,
5-4-0 against.
explanation, Commissioner Jones.
This is just like the mayor just said, it gives him the power to work out a lease agreement with the Economic Development Agency.
All right, any discussion? I see none. If you're in favor of Resolution 11314, push your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Jeff.
24 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution amending resolution, Resolution amending resolution number 21224 relative to the payment in lieu of taxes agreement with Mars Pet Care U.S. Incorporated concerning the type of ad valorem taxes that the parties originally agreed to would be abated. Commissioner Williams?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Barnwell, the second. Budget Committee,
Budget Committee is 5-4-0 against.
explanation, Commissioner Williams.
I'm going to ask Matt to come up here and address this. And Matt, this is the last resolution, so brevity would be appreciated.
Absolutely, Commissioner. So this is a cleanup of a previous resolution, basically that allows us to keep to what we originally had promised Mars Pet Care, which was that it was a full abatement of the non-school taxes versus a full abatement of 50% of the non-school taxes. As you know, we never touch any money that would go to the school system with any abatement we've ever done, and all this does is clean that language up.
Very good. Commissioner Ford?
Mr. Chairman, if I might, Matt, when I read this, it was less than a year ago, and we talked about this coming online in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
In the resolution now, it says the occupancy date is 2015.
Okay.
I'm curious why the delay of a year on that.
It could just be in any construction delays they've had. And that's the only thing I can.
I mean, everybody's excited about this project,
Sure.
looking at it good, looking at jobs coming online, bringing people in, and now less than a year later, we're a year behind on the project.
Yeah,
I mean, we were told this was just a cleanup resolution, and now we've got a year delay on this, so I wondered if somebody could help me with that.
That might be a typo because it originally had 2012 in there.
Right.
And at the budget committee level, there was a note, and I'll have to check the minutes, but it did say that there was, that the 2012, which it, in the
Right.
cleanup resolution, it said 2012, and there was a typo, and I'll just have to go back and check. It may,
But-
it should be the same, I think.
Mr.
as
Chairman,
that.
we've got the original resolution in here, and it says as amended to 2014. But yet, when I go back and read this resolution, it now says 2015. So I'd just like to know if it's 2014 or 2015.
No later than.
It says no later than.
Right, but originally, it said no later than 2014. So what we've done is given them the opportunity to push back construction and us receive the benefit of the jobs coming in for an extra year, if we pass this. I'd like to make a motion that we amend this back to 2014 as we originally passed.
Proper motion and second.
2015, and here's.
Commissioner Green, you want to speak on the motion? I mean, the amendment. Okay. All right, any discussion on Commissioner Ford's amendment?
Do you want me to load this back?
Well, we can just do a voice vote if that's okay. Commissioner Davis, on the amendment?
Mr. Chairman, on the amendment, I just wanted to hear Mr. Larkin's comments on that, on whether that would affect Mars Pet Care in any way or another.
Sure, and I need to do a little more digging to find out exactly when they plan to occupy. My latest understanding was 2014, but let me just find that. I know they're under construction right now. I know they have been for several months. In fact, they're moving very quickly. In fact, I've been told ahead of schedule, so I need to get more clarity on that.
Concerned why we would be
Sure.
putting off for another year.
Understand.
I think it's a typo.
Yeah, no. I'd move 2015 right there, new resolution.
Wait just a minute.
No, 14, that's what so.
I just want to start getting.
Well, Matt, let me ask you this. If we
Sure.
amend it to 214, I mean, I don't know which is what we think it was supposed to be.
Right.
That coincides with the original resolution. I mean, you see a problem with that?
Right, it's, again, as far as I know, they were occupying 14, but I'm not sure. And again, I've heard they're actually on or even ahead of schedule in terms of their construction.
I know they seem to be moving pretty well.
Yes, I know they are.
If they were to need extra time, you could come back later and change
Okay.
that point then.
All right. Is that okay with you, Bob?
I would move to defer this until next month. This is not that critical. We pass this tonight. It doesn't change. And let's get a little more research into it to give us, so people that are here that understand what's going on. I mean, I'm not saying you don't understand, but it's just,
Sure.
something's changed, and we're having a hard time getting answers. So I would move to defer this.
Somebody changed it, we don't know who
Right.
changed it or why.
Yeah.
Can I move to defer it right now?
Yeah, proper motion. Do I have a second? Second. Commissioner Beathard, the second. Any discussion on deferment?
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Green?
Well, I have a question on the deferment, where we're going to come back into discussion, the amendment, any further after that?
If we defer it, no.
Okay, I have a question then. We need to, if I may proceed?
Sure, go ahead.
The amendment deletes section 2 in its entirety, right? And adds new verbiage. What I see in the original resolution, there's the educational tax is paid is not included in the amendment. It's it has the percentage of taxes paid, but does not address the educational taxes.
And that's the intent. The confusion was created in the original by trying to separate those out.
Okay.
When the intent was to give an abatement of the non-educational portion of the property tax according to the percentages granted. But in splitting it, what they in essence did was take a percentage of a percentage instead of just the 40% non-educational that was the intent. So that was the confusion and why we're trying to clarify it with a single, this is the abatement of the total.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Bain?
Yeah. I don't, I don't see this. It says the first tax year shall be the calendar year after the calendar year in which the construction of the facility is completed. That's pretty straightforward to me. And no later than 2015. So it's the first full year after the thing's completed. If it's completed in 13, then it's 14. If it's completed in 14, then it's 15. It's pretty simple.
All right. Any other discussion on the voting on the motion to defer? Commissioner Jones?
As far as deferring it, even if we change it to 2014, can we not change it again later? So, I mean, if it does proceed to be a problem, I mean, we've changed it here, so surely we can change it back, right?
Correct.
All right, thank you.
All right, you ready to vote on deferment?
I don't
Oh,
think the vote
it's going to be a voice vote. All in favor of deferring to next month, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? No. See a show of hands. All in favor, raise your hand of deferment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Is that right? Did it get 10?
10.
10? Okay.
Fails.
Okay, well, I can't count, but, so, show of hands of those that don't want it deferred. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I believe the rest of us wouldn't. Okay. All right, so the motion fails. So we're back to the amendment to change.
Change it back to what it originally was, which was 2014.
2014. Any discussion on that amendment? Commissioner Hayes?
I'd just like to ask Matt, does he see that being a problem?
I think some more clarity in terms of their actual occupation of the building is I think is what's needed, because I don't think this changes the term for the abatement. It's just when they actually get in the building, if I understand that right. And I'm happy to go and find out where they are in their construction schedule and report back to you if that's what you'd like.
So you would be willing to bring that back to us?
Oh, certainly, yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Barnwell?
These types of pilots that are taken out and what happens to them, I don't know if anybody read today about the solar panel outfit up in north of Nashville that laid off everybody they hired in $1 billion plant. They're not going to open it for 2 or 3 years. I mean, we're not going there, I hope.
No, oh, there's no question. They're actually under construction right now. I mean, there's the plans, and this is one of 5 research centers across the world for Mars Picker, and this is not a new technology. I mean, that was the issue with Hemlock Semiconductors. It's a new technology. I mean, all sorts of reasons why that happened. This is a well-established company, one of 5 research centers in the world, and this is absolutely critical to the future of this company. It's very different, and we also tie now our incentives to job creation numbers as well. That's something new we've done in the last few years.
Because that plant's already built, so I mean, it's interesting.
Yes, that was a very interesting article.
Okay, back on the motion. You ready to vote? If you're in favor of changing the date to 2014.
Can I clarify one thing for you?
Okay.
The year one, the tax year, the first year of the abatement is not the year of completion, which may be why it was changed. In other words, if it's scheduled to be completed in 14, year one would actually be 2015.
But, Mr. Chairman, does anything in this change the terms of that? as far as change those conditions, because those conditions are exactly like the same ones we voted on that were 2014 before. I'm interested in getting the jobs started and getting them online with this county as soon as possible and running out this pilot program as soon as possible so we can get the full taxes from this land. And to me, that's what we voted on, was starting that in 2014. This getting moved to 2015 gives Mars the opportunity to push that off for one more year, the way I see this.
Well, the original agreement as presented was 2012, not 2014.
But the original amendment as amended by this body was 2014 because we were told 2012 was a typo.
No, what the amendment was to change the occupancy date, not year one of the tax abatement. And that's what I'm trying to point out. The tax abatement starts the year after the year in which the occupancy.
I understand that.
Right. And the amendment, as put on the resolution, is change the occupancy date, not year one of the tax. The agreement in front of you says that the first year, tax year, will be the year after the certificate of occupancy, no later than 2015. It's entirely consistent with what you voted on before, where occupancy was 2014. This language as to 2015 is the first tax year.
So if it's consistent, is there a problem with going back to the language as we passed it originally?
It's two different things. The 2015 is different than the 2014 in the amendment from the original agreement, is what I'm saying. Occupancy is the year before the tax year. This language in what you're voting on today on the 2015 is the tax year, not the year of occupancy. And it's consistent with what we've been saying. They're on target to be completed within 14, which is the occupancy, which would start the tax year in 15 as year one, as the first full year of tax that would be abated, which is consistent with the amendment you had before. So if you had voted before that the occupancy was going to be 13 and the tax year was going to be 14, your amendment would be consistent with that. What you voted before in 2012 when this was amended was that occupancy would be in 2014, not that the year one tax would be 2014.
Looks like to me that the language of this is exactly what we passed before, except the date's been changed by a year.
I agree with Commissioner Ford.
The amendment language on the bottom of the resolution states change occupancy date, not tax year number one. And that's what I think the distinction is.
Well, this resolution,
Commissioner Davis?
Thank you. I hate to disagree with council, but there's clear language between completion and tax year in the document. So if we don't change it to 2014, that does give Mars Pet Care the opportunity to stop the building of their building and then therefore put off the tax year. They wouldn't lose anything, but we would. We wouldn't get the jobs. And it would put off the tax abatement start date for a year because it is linked to the completion date.
And you
So no later than 2014 is different than no later than 2015.
Occupancy is different than the first year of tax.
It is, but there's one sentence that links them both.
And it says, but my point is not the sentence, but the amendment as placed on the resolution only talks about change occupancy date to no later than 2014. It does not say the tax year as tied to occupancy and the certificate, it shall be 2014. It ties directly to occupancy. I'm not saying you can't do what you want to do if that's the point. But I don't think that it is inconsistent with the amendment that was made in 2012 is the only thing I brought forward. There is a difference between tax year being when the year one of the tax year will be versus the occupancy, which is actually the calendar year before tax year number one. If they're going to complete it in 2013, tax year one would be 2014.
And this is immaterial in that scenario. But if they complete it in 2015.
It covers that.
If everyone's intent was for them to complete it in 2014, the amendment would change it because they would get an abatement on a construction in progress, which would not be what was intended. If the intent was that it would be completed in 2014, and that was the purpose of the amendment, which, again, only references occupancy, the completion, tax year would have been 2015 anyway. Only a lawyer, right?
Mr. Chairman, may I clarify the intent of my resolution? The intent of my resolution is, or my amendment is for everything that we passed in this resolution previously, in this paragraph 2, as amended to the 2014, to be exactly the same as it was in the new one. Okay? So that's my goal here is we said no later than 2014, which is what's in quotes on the amendment here. So that's the only piece that changed. It was from 2012 to 2014. I just want to change it back to exactly how we had it before. That's all I want to do.
That's what I second.
Okay. Commissioner Bethard on the amendment?
I don't know if it goes against parliamentary procedure, but I would like to reintroduce the motion to defer, if allowed to do so, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second that.
All right.
I'm trying to figure out if that would be a motion to reconsider. If it would be, then it would have to have been from someone who voted for or voted against the deferral the first time in order for a motion to reconsider to be put on the table.
Mr. Chairman, can I offer you a solution?
Yes, please.
He voted against.
Okay. Wait just a minute.
Mr. Williams, can I make you a suggestion?
Sure.
30 days won't matter. Pull your resolution.
I'll pull it.
There be no further business. I entertain for motion for adjournment.